Yes, I have read the comments, and I know that the name of this vehicle now means almost. Like I, s- like I said, I'm not Swedish, and I take full responsibility for this silly mistake. So we're going to rename it to Snab, because apparently that means fast. So now this car is actually fast. Hey guys, I hope you're all doing well and welcome back to the Automation Campaign, where in the last episode we have made our very first supercar, and oh my goodness, is it it's so much fun. It is an amazing vehicle, lots and lots of power, lots and lots of torque, and a beautiful drivetrain to pair with a really beautiful body, I think. So, how are we going to move on from that? Because I don't think we can top that car for a little while, until maybe we do a little like a second version of the car, something like that. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go a different route for this episode, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a little hatchback, but we're going to make one with a turbo. So it's going to be a fast hatchback, and it's going to be amazing. So without further ado, let's get into the episode and yeah, make our hot hatch. And as for the platform, I think this would work really well. I'm not quite sure why I like it so much, but it has a really nice proportion to it. And yeah, ignore the wheels for the time being, we're going to fix that afterwards. But I really like the entire design of this body. So we're going to use it and we're going to make something amazing with it. So as for the base engine, we're going to be using the R2 engine, so the 150 horsepower engine we've got available to us. I think this model is going to be front wheel drive, but the turbo is going to be all wheel drive, and I think that's what's going to differentiate the turbo from this vehicle. That's what is going to make it a true hot hatch, because if we put 250 horsepower through the front wheels on a car from 1988, it's not going to work out. So we're going to do a manual 5-speed because hot hatch. And we are going to, yeah, just make a generally interesting car. We're going to do medium compound. We're going to go 195s all round because these are still very wide tyres for the time. We're going to go with alloy rims. We're going to do, I think, 16 inches would be big enough. And we're going to make the tyre diameter a bit bigger. Oh, apparently this is the maximum size I can go. So that's the, yeah. Guess it's going to be really, I mean, they're not too small, but I hope we can mess around with the wheel wells a little bit to try and make them fit in a little bit more. But there you go, basic little alignment to sort out for the actual drivability of this vehicle, so we don't have to go back through. We're going to go with ventilated front discs and solid rear discs. We're going to do a semi-clad on the tray because, I mean, do we do fully? Let's do fully clad. I think for aerodynamics sake, we're going to do that. We're gonna do we're gonna do standard cassette with a standard interior, and we are going to do one final manual manual steering. I think after this we're going to put power steering onto every single vehicle. We're going to do traction control and ABS, as all other vehicles I believe have it at this point. Standard AT safety, progressive gas monotube. Actually, no, we're going to do adaptive dampening because, like I said, drivability is going to be one huge thing that this company is going to have for it, and the adaptive dampers are really going to help with that recognition of drivability. So, how are we looking so far? So the city does like the vehicle-ish. It's more passenger fleet, family, sort of fun vehicle. I mean, that's sort of where I was going with this vehicle anyway, and that's a lot of brake fade. I mean, we should probably make the brakes bigger at this point already. So we're going to do that, make them a bit sportier, I guess. The rear brakes, we can make them bigger, but we're going to have to really reduce the size of them. So, or the force at least. So we're going to do that, and we're going to do a bit of brake airflow going to the rear, and then we should have 1, no brake fade, and 2, the desirability is now at 45%, which is still very low actually, which is very weird. So I'm going to have a look at how I can solve that. So I think mainly it's going to be drivability and comfort and that sort of thing. But yeah, I'll get to doing that and I'll be back with you guys shortly. And so here we go into the design of this vehicle, and honestly I think this has to be one of my favorite vehicles I've ever designed. Honestly, seriously, I'm not even joking. I love the physical design of it. I love the actual engineering behind it with the engines and the way that the transmissions and the drivetrains and everything, everything about it just is perfect to me. And I think this is exactly the kind of car that we need as a company to move forward, and I'm so happy that I've managed to make something that looks cool doing it. So, yeah, once again, this is going to be a very long time lapse, so I will put a timestamp like right here, right now, to tell you when it ends. But yeah, I think, honestly, I think this is genuinely one of the best designed vehicles I've made, either ever or in a very long time. But that's up to you. If you guys enjoy this design, then do let me know. If you don't, you can let me know as well. I'm open to anything. So, but yeah, I mean, it took a long time to design this vehicle, of course. I mean, the exterior took me maybe what, a couple hours, maybe 2 hours. But the interior easily doubled that, because I find myself getting very quickly not lost in the interior, but just in a time loop where I just never stop thinking about making the interior more and more perfect. So I have to physically stop myself at some point to tell myself, okay, now you really need to carry on making this video. You can't just sit here for 10 hours making the interior. So yeah, another 2 hours was spent making the interior, but I think it turned out really nice. It is quite boring and bland, but that's something we can fix in facelifts and stuff, and then by the final vehicle, then this should be I think this should be my favorite vehicle ever, to be honest. I mean, the turbo has 250 horsepower, all-wheel drive. It's just an absolute monster. So, but I mean, yeah, thank you guys for sticking with me for this long. I will let you watch the time lapse. Timestamp is, like I said, right here yet again, in case you missed it at the beginning and you wanted to listen to me talk. So yeah, I'll see you guys there. It may have taken quite a while, but I think we have made probably my favourite car I think I've genuinely ever made, like ever. From a design standpoint, this is a beautiful car in my opinion. It has little pop-up headlights and the design of it is just... You know, this is one of the first cars I would truly wish I could own in real life. Like, this is exactly the kind of car that I love. It's just that sort of semi-boxy design, that sort of half aggressive, half casual look. It's just beautiful. Interior worked out very well as well, and honestly I think this body is just an amazing body. But yeah, I think what we're going to do now is we're going to make the turbo variant, the very sporty variant, and yeah, let's see what this car can bring us in the future. I've also called it the Crid or Cride or whatever. It's a difference of well, I found a word called Cridad, which means apparently spicy. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering that name as well. And yeah, I thought I'd change the name a little bit to keep that interesting. But yeah, I think this car just turned out really nice, I think. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can make of that turbo variant. Well, no need to wait any longer. Here it is. And oh my goodness, does it look good. I genuinely love this vehicle. I put a little bit of trim on the side, I put a little bit of trim on the rear to try and get a little bit more downforce. And in fact, what I'm going to do, just to make it stand out a little bit more, is I'm going to make this rear little lip at the top just a tiny bit longer to make it stand out. Maybe if we can make it taller even, that would look good, wouldn't it? Oh, that was a bit too much. But I think that this car genuinely does look incredible. I am so happy with this vehicle because it's got 250 horsepower. I managed to get all-wheel drive, manual 5-speed, and a 0 to 60 time of 5.1 seconds, or 0 to 100 kilometers an hour time, which is very fast. I've had to put in some bigger tires, I've put in some bigger brakes, and yeah, all in all, I've managed to get this car stupidly sporty. So, let's get this car up for sale and then we'll give it a drive. So as for optimization, I think realistically we're going to want this car to be a little bit reliable. We don't want it to be overly reliable because it is a sporty car. We want to try and make it as pleasurable to drive as possible. We're going to optimize the process so we can produce a few more vehicles. And we're going to optimization was cheaper to build. That's the way it was. We're going to do some automation to make sure that the vehicle gets produced often. We're going to do, I think we're going to put some work into this vehicle, and we're going to make it a little bit faster, which means we can put a little bit more optimization into the vehicle, and a little bit more automation. And all in all, I think we are going to come out with an incredible vehicle. So, let's get the engines already being produced. I hope the factory is big enough. But for this project, we're going to have to make a new factory, which will be quite tight, I think, considering we have that second vehicle production going on. So I think we're going to do with a large one factory, which means the engine factory will be overworked. So if we do a medium 3 factory, should be alright if we can get the production units of the vehicle down a little bit. And they are very expensive to make, but I think it'll be worth it. So, but I think actually for the advantage, I'm going to change the color. And so, with that color change complete, we can now go to doing the factory. So we're going to do a maximum shift of 2.2, target shift of 2, minimum shift of, I believe we always did 1.5, which, yeah, that looks about right. We're going to reduce wages, which means that, well, the factory will be done in how long? In 34 months. So let's do 70% worker wages, increase the quality. And the thing is, because we, well, the factory's coming in at 48 months, so that's perfectly fine right there. Because we've got a smaller factory for this vehicle, that means, yeah, we don't need to, we can lower wages and increase quality, and we'll still have people by the time the factory opens. So how are we going to actually produce less vehicles? We're going to reduce the automation, really increase the QA threshold to a ridiculous number, and does tooling affect? I mean, tooling does affect it a little bit, but let's reduce automation a little bit more, I think. I mean, we can always go into the engine factory afterwards and tell it, look, make more engines. So there you go, we've got this amount of vehicles, which I will accept for the time being, simply because this is just the start of this production line of this vehicle. So, click to design, click complete, and we'll go to the forecaster. Now this is where I'm sort of a bit skeptical, because this vehicle could really make or lose us money, because the amount of money we're putting into it, it's going to be quite difficult to really see any profit out of it. But that's a good start. I mean, the desirability is for the city demograph, and this car isn't really a city demograph car. So we're going to do that to 12, that to 10, and I think that to 15. I think that would be a good start. And then we'll have a look at how much we would be making with this vehicle, which I imagine is quite a fair amount. And yeah, there you go. So 5 billion, which is really a lot of money. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this vehicle actually performs for us. It's not our most profitable vehicle, but I think that's mainly because we aren't making many vehicles. So once we go into the facelift and we've got a better engine factory up and running, that way we can then produce more of this vehicle. So let's have a look how much this entire project costs us, which I imagine is going to be quite a lot. So let's finish design, and I will accept that, no loan. 572 million for one vehicle, including the factory for that vehicle as well. So we're going to design this, finish the design, and you know what? I think we're going to fast forward until both of these vehicle releases, because I mean, realistically, all we will be doing is we'll be making the next gen facelifting the Format. Actually, we'll go into the end of the Format, because that's when we want to sort of be facelifting the Format. Sorry, I mispronounced that. The Format. Yeah, I think we're going to go into the end of here. We're going to see how we're doing, and after that, this vehicle will be in production. We'll stop producing this vehicle, which means that this factory will free up for another production plant, and then yeah, we've got a little plan going, which will be quite nice. So let's fast forward, and I'll be back shortly. Well, this didn't go quite to plan. In the end, we made money pretty much throughout the whole entire process until the factory started being produced. So one thing I am now going to do is I am going to stop production on this vehicle, because at this point, yeah, we're going to pause trim orders. We're going to do that on both, because this vehicle is now going to start slowly losing us money, because it is quite outdated now. It is what, 2.5 years old, and I've just noticed that it's been hovering between making us profit and losing us money, so I don't want to risk losing any more money to this vehicle. And yeah, we've now got the Format, the actual new one, and it's also losing us money, which is quite a weird one actually, because it's got more stuff, it's got pretty much better stuff in it than the old one. It's less desirable, and it doesn't cost that much more, if anything at all, and it's almost unpayable apparently. So that's a bit of an interesting situation, but I don't think that's much of a problem, because we will do a facelift on this vehicle, which we'll put into this factory, have both of them running at the same time, hopefully have the new Format start making us some money, and then yeah, life should be good. So yeah, without further ado, let's get the new hatchback into BeamNG. And so here we have the new Cryad? I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce it, in BeamNG, and this is the essential model, the cheapest of the three, with 120 horsepower, which is still a lot. Like, that is like the powerful version of a lot of vehicles from this time period, so quite a hefty amount. It's a lot. So yeah, let's give it a little drive, and we'll have a little look, at how this car actually performs. So from a little test drive, I've got a pretty good idea of what this car is like, and essentially this car is the perfect city car, in my opinion. It has 120 horsepower, which gets you from point A to point B very efficiently. It has 120 horsepower, meaning that if you ever need to do some accelerating, like up this hill over here, and you've got no problem in doing that. I mean, look at this is incredible. And if you ever need to go on the motorway or something, you aren't going to be driving ridiculously slowly. So I genuinely believe this is the perfect car, and even from a handling standpoint, because of its short wheelbase, it just goes into the corners so nicely that you end up turning too much. But no, seriously, this is such a fun car to drive. It just has so much power, and this is going to be a horrific ending, but oh, it worked out in the end. Oh, this car is so much fun to drive quickly. I mean, once again, I think this is exactly the type of car that this company should be making. It's the fast, sporty, comfortable performance vehicles, essentially. And even though this is the entry-level model of this vehicle, I think this is exactly where this car should be. And here we have the Advantage model, which is essentially a toned-down version of the Turbo. It has the aero, it has a powerful engine, it's just missing that turbo and that all-wheel drive and performance brakes and stuff, but it's essentially that beautiful mix between the Essential and the Turbo, and I think this car turned out even better than the Essential. This is down to a couple reasons actually. It has, it's slightly lower, it's got slightly stiffer suspension, but it also has 30 more horsepower, which you do really notice when you're driving this car. That 30 extra horsepower really starts to shine when you start accelerating, and it does make a big difference in this vehicle, I feel. But it's more that with the tyres and the suspension, you're able to go into corners even better than the Essential. Like, it's crazy. Almost every aspect of this car, even with the little pops and bangs, is better than the Essential, which is crazy to think because the Essential is a really nice car to drive. So I am very happy with the way that this vehicle turned out, even more so than the Essential. I mean, in the end of the day, I wouldn't necessarily classify this as a sporty car. I mean, you can drive it in a sporty manner, but it's more of a fun sort of, it's just a more fun hatchback. I mean, 150 horsepower is a lot, and you can really tell that those 150 horsepower is probably a little bit overkill already for a vehicle like this, just from the way that it drives. I mean, the tyres are just about enough to keep that 150 horsepower in check, which is really fun because you're always, when you're full throttle, you're always on the edge of this car, and the tyres are just about there enough to keep you in check, which is so much fun to drive around with because you're always sliding around, having fun, and yeah, I just love this car. But yeah, coming up to the racetrack now, this is where I intend to drive the Turbo, because this is sort of where I envision the Turbo. It's got really stiff suspension, like ridiculously stiff suspension. It is really low, and just the whole entire, just everything about the Turbo screams track day. So I want to see how well it actually performs on the track. Alright, and so I think the best way to do this is to do a little drag race with the fastest EP.15, which is the car that... Keep rolling, which is I've decided to choose the fastest car that EP had ever made. Well, from a factory standpoint. So let's see how well we can compare to that. Well, I stalled it a little bit off the line, but I think, oh my goodness, it is fast. Come on. Oh, 13.3. But I did really stall it off the start, so I think we're going to have to do that again. Oh my... What? That was a ridiculous launch. A 12.7. This is ridiculous. Alright, let's take it a lap around the West Coast circuit. I think this is going to be a lot of fun with this vehicle. And once again, it's always that third gear with me. I don't know what it is about that third gear that I never seem to get right. But it's just, this car is performance. It's so fast. And the thing is, it's not oversteery, but it isn't that understeery either. It's like that beautiful balance of, there you go, there's the oversteer, there's the understeer, but it's that it's like balanced so perfectly so that they cancel each other out. And I was really late to the brakes with that one. But no need to worry, this car handles it perfectly fine. This car is fast. So let's have a look at how the car drives from an outside perspective, and that is not going great. That is not going great. This is what I mean with cars like this, is you could just thrash them to the absolute limit and still somehow survive. Like, I have no idea how I did that, but it's brilliant. Like, the smile on my face right now, it's crazy. This car drives so nicely. Let's brake at about 300 meters. Third gear, steer in, clip the curb on the inside, go to fourth, and mess that up apparently. But my goodness. Catch the inside curve, go down to third, catch the inside curve there. Oh. Go down to third, attempt to try and hit that curve, which didn't work. No need to worry, I can make it back on the compression. And it's, oh, this car is just so fast. We're gonna have to brake here, I think. Third gear, sliding it in, really pulling it out wide at this. I think this car could set a record for the time on this track. I mean, don't forget about the Snap, or the supercar that we made in the last episode. That is really fast as well. I think it's definitely faster than this car. But this car is definitely worthy of, like, I think something, it's like a BTCC type of car. That's what I see it as. Well, a modern one, they're all sort of hatchbacks these days, but yeah, this is just crazy how fast this car is, and how, like, all the different models, they are perfectly suited for what they need to be. So yeah, I'm super happy with this vehicle. But yeah, yeah. I can't stop smiling, it's crazy, but I'm gonna have to end it there. This video is already getting quite long, so I'm gonna just say goodbye and I'm gonna go. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. It's been an absolute pleasure making it for you. Take care and bye bye.